There needs to be some level of vulnerability. How much faith do I have in my first day of work? I just got off work. I'm running so late. I have a dinner in, I almost said Midtown. I don't think it's Midtown. I don't know where it is. I need to look at the map. I need to figure out my route. I just literally logged off of work, so I need to hurry. Why is it always like this? Ugh.
Hello, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. My name is Grace. I'm a 30-something living in New Jersey while working in New York City. Here's another few days in my life as I deal with life, work, relationships, and the growing pains that never stop, even in your 30s.
Gotten ready in record time. I also realized that I don't really have fitting shoes for the summer, which I think is a problem. Yeah, I don't know what to wear. Oh my gosh. I guess I'll just wear the hoodies that I've been wearing in the fall. But yeah, I just got ready. I'm going to Lower Manhattan. I think that's where it is. I think it's like I change from the path at 14th Street to the L. Maybe is that the gray one? So I think it's either lower, middle, the lower part of the middle of Manhattan or Lower East Side. One of those. We'll figure it out on my way there. Okay, let's go now. Grabbing dinner with my favorite unnies tonight at a restaurant called Nutty Brunch. One of them found them on Instagram. Sorry, trying to film it.
This is the train to...
All right, I'm home. I have cat relaxing music on the TV. I'm like projecting the person that I am into my cat and feeling that she would appreciate this anxiety reducing calm music. Who knows if it has any effect, but it does put her to sleep and she does seem to be feeling more at peace. So I take comfort in that. But yeah, I just got home after hanging out with my unnies and they also brought a friend. So it was a group of 4 girls. And it was so fun. Maybe because it's like I have been interacting with a lot of people that I've met for the first time that I haven't had enough time and effort invested into building more of a substantial relationship with. And those types of interactions have happened a lot frequently in succession that in contrast to that, tonight felt like super genuine and it just felt like really real. And I felt like we were able to talk about so many different topics. What sparked the conversations were things like, books that we all read recently, movies or like TV shows that we saw. So like all surface level things. But I just felt like the conversations were able to be deepened. For example, like we talked about, Past Lives. It's a movie by the director Celine Song that I think all of us had watched, and we all had like differing responses to it, but we were able to take the conversation beyond just talking about our individual responses to the film. One of the central themes of that film is like the life not lived or like the life that could have been. Themes around like regret or the road not taken, like things like that. So all like very human, like universal themes, obviously, but we were able to kind of like be a little bit more vulnerable around how we individually related to that topic. That kept happening like throughout the whole dinner. Someone would bring up, like a film or like a book or like an article that someone had read, and it would be like there'd be like the superficial topic, but then like people would kind of like open up a little bit more and talk about personal responses and personal like experiences that would reveal a little bit more about themselves, and that would like take the conversation, deepen it a little bit. So it was just like a whole night of that, which I find pretty rare because the whole paradox is that there needs to be some level of vulnerability on everyone's part for a certain relationship to be deepened, but that requires like people taking kind of a leap of faith and being willing to be a little more revealing about themselves and taking all that risk of one being vulnerable and the other person not reciprocating, you know what I mean? So if people are willing to take that risk and it works out because like both parties or all parties involved are also taking on risk. Everyone's being a little bit vulnerable and really revealing a little bit more about themselves, and that like allows for a deeper layer of connection. That's what like deepens a relationship. But again, like it always takes some type of like leap of faith or willingness to take on a little bit of risk. That's the irony. Not everyone is up for it. So I just felt like tonight everyone at the dinner was really open to doing that. I like thrive in that type of environment. I'm someone that tends to like shut down when I sense like even an iota of fakeness or superficiality, which is not great because maybe some people like put up that guard of superficiality initially, and it takes time for you to get to know them. So it's not fair of me to like determine that someone is not a person I can connect with based on the initial like superficial meeting. I do need to like give them more of a chance. But I'm just saying like I'm the type of person that is like hypersensitive to that type of stuff. All that to say tonight, I like did not sense a single bit of like fakeness, and that was really, really nice to experience. It's been a while since I felt that from like everyone there, you know. To be fair, it was just a small group. It was 4 people, so it makes it a little bit easier for that to happen, like probability wise. But still, yeah, maybe it's just like a contrast to a lot of the other social interactions I've been having recently. Not that I've had many, because as you know, I've been kind of a recluse at home. Anyways, I just love being able to talk about books and movies because like so much of my time is spent consuming that type of stimuli. I love that the conversation didn't end with reflections or observations about the thing, the book or the movie, but was able to facilitate like a deeper level of sharing. You know, I think that makes it special. Hopefully I'm making sense. I'm going to wash off all my makeup now. It's like almost 11 p.m. and that is my bedtime these days, just because I've been having really early it's like 9 a.m. meetings lately, and I want to have my 8+ hours of sleep for that. And it is a Tuesday. Oh, also, oh my god, one last update that I forgot to tell you. I'm done with my Invisalign. That happened yesterday. Today's Tuesday, right? Yesterday. I am done with my Invisalign. No more buttons, no more attachments. I'm so happy I can smile with confidence and freedom and unleash the full potential of my smile, I guess. I still have to wear retainers for many hours of the day and into the night for the next 3 months, which I will do. But I'm like done with all the visible signs of Invisalign. So I'm so relieved. And it's so crazy. It's only been a day, but I feel like so adjusted to not having things on my teeth. I don't even remember what it felt like before. We are creatures of habit. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go now. Bye. Hey guys, making my way through the streets of Jersey City to go to the Jersey City Public Library to attend a Reading Rhythms event. Tongue twister. What's new, right? If you recall, a few vlogs ago, I attempted to attend a library takeover by Reading Rhythms at the New York Public Library. And utterly failed because it was a painfully cold evening and there were so many people that the line wound around several blocks. So I just gave up and decided to try again at the next event. And now they are thankfully doing another library takeover, this time specifically for Jersey City residents and members of the Jersey City Public Library. So that's where I'm going. The weather again is, as you can see, not quite favorable. I think it's forecasted to rain pretty much all day, but that also makes for a really cozy time indoors reading, right? So I'm excited to do that. Did a quick skim of the event page, and there's going to be an author panel featuring several female writers. One of them, I only know one of them. Her name's Elaine Cho. She's a Korean American author of a fantasy novel that I have at home that I'm planning to read. As you know, I don't read fantasy very often, but always want to support a fellow Korean American. So other than her though, I'm not too familiar with the other authors, but there's gonna be an author panel. There will be some food, I am told. Hopefully coffee as well, because I am in need of some caffeine, and books and community, which is what I attend these events for. So that is where I'm headed. My friends are there too. It'd be good to see them as well. I feel like I've been hanging out pretty frequently with my book friends, which is not a bad thing at all. It's been great to get to know them and meet more of them and learn more about the book influencer community, even though I'm more of an outsider in that sense. But it's been an interesting experience. It's always a good time. So per usual, I'm out of breath talking while walking. So I will catch up with you again once I arrive at the event. Okay, I have arrived, I've checked in, headed upstairs to the event.
Perfect weather to do some reading and meet some new friends. Usually I do about 20,000 words of vibing. That's about like maybe a quarter of the book. So I do that. I have a sort of big notion of the stories there. I just let myself simply write for 20,000 words.
All right, I just got home. Thought I would just give you a quick recap of the event. It was like a typical reading rhythm reading party with like silent reading blocks and opportunities to meet new people and mingle and stuff. And then at the end of it, they had the author panel of, I think it was 5 female writers who came on stage, and Samia interviewed them. She did a great job. And the panel was actually really interesting. I realized that I haven't really been to many author talks. I think the last one that I went to was the interview with Jeanette McCurdy that Lena Dunham moderated for the launch of her new book, Half His Age, which was in February, I want to say. But that was also the first author talk that I've been to in a very long time. So it was just really refreshing and reminded me how much I used to love going to those. I just wanted to talk about one thing that the authors discussed. The question that was posed to them was, what was the most surprising thing that they discovered getting into the publishing industry, becoming a published author? Several of them actually brought up the marketing aspect of it. And again, like social media marketing, which makes total sense. I was like totally talking about this in a recent video. You know, everyone has to market themselves and become their own brand these days. And of course that would apply to authors as well, because they're trying to sell their books and promote their books. Yeah, they were speaking to the content creation aspect of it and how challenging it is for them to navigate. None of them are digital natives. Like, they weren't born into a world where smartphones and the internet existed. And so it's like new to them in that sense, from like a generational difference sense. But also, I don't know, like content creation doesn't come easily to many people, and the whole notion of putting yourself on camera and marketing yourself and the theatricality of it, I guess, can be pretty daunting and awkward to a lot of people, like myself included, even though I'm like ironically making these videos. So I can only imagine how challenging that must be for them. So that part was really interesting to hear them talk about. And then everyone kind of went through their different writing processes and approaches, and many authors have done this in the past, so it wasn't like all too surprising to me. But it is still like really cool to hear writers talk about their relationships with their own characters. Like, these are fictional characters that came out of their brains, but they talk about them as though they're like real people that they know very intimately, and they talk about them as though they have agency. So like, they were saying things like, you know, I wanted to tell the story in this way, but the character had something else in mind. The character guided me to write out the plot in a certain way. So it's very different from the, you know, like omniscient relationship they would have with their characters. So that was like really nice to hear and got me excited. I know I've said many times before that I want to get into writing again. I'm a little bit scared now, like, and cautious now, just because when I was younger, it seemed like such an easy thing and such a natural thing to me to write and create stories, fictional stories. But I guess as an older person who has like lived more of life and also consumed so many more books, it feels all the more daunting to me. I find myself asking things like, is there such thing as an original story? How much faith do I have in my imagination that I think I'd be able to create something that other people would want to read? Maybe I'm a little too naive still in how I view the world. Like, don't I need like even more experience and even more trials and difficulties that I need to live through in order to create something artistic? So like, those are kind of the thoughts in my head that deter me from taking up writing. Probably all of them are excuses. So once again, for like the 10th time, I think this year, I thought to myself, listening to those writers, how inspired I was and how I want to actually start to write. So I really want to go to a writing meetup or event or something like that in the city. I will actively look into something like that in the next month. And then lastly, there was like a raffle thing and I got this little goodie bag, which I will unbox here. Appears to be a sock. Or 2 socks, stickers. Yeah, these are like post-its. Got some tea, lemon ginger tea, highlighter, cocoa mix, bookmark, a couple more stickers, and then of course the most important thing is mystery book. It says on this bag that it is mystery crime genre, which I'm not mad about, but let us discover together what the actual book is. And I am gonna have to use a never mind. Okay. Let's see what it is. It's a hardcover. And it is... Oh, it's a library book? Do I have to return it? No, wait, no. The barcode's been marked out, so I guess they're just getting rid of it. But, oh, large print edition. This looks like an old book. When was this published? 2013. Okay, it's not that old of a book, but this is what it is. I kind of like the feel of old books. Reminds me of books I used to read when I was a kid in the library. Shadow Woman. Lizette Henry wakes up one morning to the discovery that she doesn't recognize the face she sees in the mirror. To add to the shock, 2 years seem to have disappeared from her life. Strange memories soon begin to surface, and along with them, some unusual skills. Lizette suddenly knows how to search for bugs in her house and tracking devices in her car. What's more, she can elude surveillance like a trained agent. Enter a mysterious and seductive stranger named Xavier who triggers disturbing images of an unspeakable crime of which Lizette may or may not be the perpetrator. With memories returning, she suddenly becomes a target of anonymous assassins. Oh my god, the print is so big. Look at that. Anyways, that was fun. I will see you in a little bit. Morning, y'all. I am commuting for the first time in 3 weeks to our new office location. I'm in Hoboken, near the path right now, but first need to do a quick stop at CVS to pick up a prescription medication. Picked up the meds, now let us commute. Alright, we are in Midtown. I think I told you last time, but my office has moved, and during the moving process as they were getting the new space ready, we were told to work from home, which that period just kept getting extended. So I ended up working remotely for 3 whole weeks, which it would have been a lot better if they told us that straight up front so I could have planned a trip or something. Anyway, it is finally the day to commute and see the new office space for the first time. It's Midtown now though. My old office was in the best location because it was right next to Christopher Street, so it was just one stop over from Hoboken. Now there's a lot of walking involved, which is why I am just in my running / walking shoes right now, and then I'm gonna change into nicer heels, like little, what are they called? Kitten heels, once I get to the office. Okay, it's too loud now. I'll tell you more later. Okay, we arrived. First day of work. I've gotten off work and I'm headed to this bar called Vaughn for Lit Club's book club event. The book we're discussing today is called Found Time. It's a novella. It's basically about this couple that meet in their early 20s and have kind of like a little romance for about a week, and then they are kind of torn apart by circumstance, and then they find each other randomly, coincidentally, much later in life in their 50s, and they're both now single parents, 2 teenage daughters, and they reconnect and try to decide what to do with that found time. They're a lot more cynical and disillusioned by life, but it is kind of like a second chance that they're given. Okay, you're obviously back home now. I wanted to give you some quick thoughts about tonight's event. Another wonderfully enjoyable and energizing book club hosted by Lit Club. So, like I said, this was the book that we discussed. I realized I didn't really show you earlier because I was like talking as I was making my way to the event. I was quite curious to see how tonight's discussion would be structured, like what types of probes and discussion prompts the conversations would be structured around, because Lit Club, Kelly's quite good with, moderating and shaping the conversations with some thoughtful questions. But I was curious to see what sorts of questions we'd be discussing tonight, and frankly, if there'd be enough to talk about compared to previous Lit Club discussions, just because, and this probably reveals more of my preconceptions and like perhaps unfair prejudices around the romance genre than anything else. But I was curious about that because I wasn't sure like if there was enough depth to yield enough conversation. But as I said, that was a pretty unfair preconception of mine, because we actually had a lot of really thoughtful, interesting conversations come up, and the discussion questions were really great as well. One of the main things being the role of the romance genre, its value and its importance in the modern age. There was some discussions around whether romance novels needed to be realistic and relatable, whether that mattered, or if there was value in, the escapism of it and the aspirational aspect of it, which was really what this novella leaned into. I felt it was pretty unrealistic, particularly, the depths of the characterization and all of that, which is why I struggled a little bit with relating to some of the characters, particularly the male character. I actually felt like the female character protagonist was pretty relatable, particularly her internal monologues and the various emotions that she goes through as she goes through this relationship. But I felt like the male character was pretty, or that love interest was a little static and perhaps one-dimensional and a bit unrealistic, like a male character clearly written by a female. So I had some qualms around that, and a lot of people agreed with me. Then there was a subset of participants tonight that talked about how, the whole point of romance was to escape, how enjoyable it is to lean into the unrealistic sides of it and the aspirational sides of it. So I thought it was a really valuable discussion that we had around the role of romance, and then conversations around fate and found time, which is the title of the story, of course, whether you believe in things happening for a reason, the role that found time has in the story, its value in an era of instant gratification and so much infinite commodities and quickness of everything. I guess I feel like I kind of hated on this book too much, so I want to talk about things that I liked about it. I thought it had a lot more depth. I know I literally just said that I felt it lacked some depth, but I had more depth than I expected for a romance novel. Again, revealing my preconceptions about the romance genre. And I thought the writing was actually quite good and enjoyable and relatable in many moments. I like that it explored romance between characters in their 50s. It's always interesting to see the different perspectives that people bring to a story, which is the whole point of book club and why I love them so much, because people have such different interpretations. You can see how their experiences have shaped those interpretations, and no two person has the exact same reaction to certain scenes and certain elements of the novel. People are always resonating with different parts of the novel. We started the whole discussion with the question what was your favorite part? A very simple, broad question, and everyone had a different answer, which was amazing. Oh, the other thing I wanted to talk about, now that I have been going to pretty consistently to a range of different types of book events and different types of book clubs, even across both Jersey and New York, I'm starting to observe things about the differences of those events, both in terms of how they're run and structured, but also the types of people that show up and the dynamics of the groups and the vibe. I'm not going to make any verdicts since I don't have too many data points. I've only been to a handful, but I will say that there is a difference in level of friendliness depending on the event, which I feel a little bit torn about, because I'm someone who is really stimulated by intellectual conversations and academic events, which is why I'm drawn to certain types of events over others. But I'm starting to feel that you really can't lose sight of the community aspect of these events, and I'm finding myself craving that as well, and I feel like it's rare to find both at the same event. I still want to keep going and potentially try out some other places as well. I'm getting different benefits from each of the events, but it has been interesting to sort of notice those differences. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking now. I'm gonna take off my makeup and get ready for bed, because today's a Tuesday and I have to commute again tomorrow. I totally forgot last
sorry, last few thoughts. Like I said, today was the first time I commuted in 3 weeks. Saw the new office space for the first time. It was actually so nice. I had like very low expectations of it, and I think there was some sort of like propaganda making people like lower their expectations. So I think people went in really not thinking it was going to be a good space, and it was like a definite downgrade from our previous office, but it was so much better. So full of natural light, so like beautiful. I love like the area that I'm sitting in. I love the organization of the departments and the seating arrangements. A lot more space to work in, and conference rooms and things like that. And yeah, location sucks. I maintain that is a very, very heavy disadvantage. But I'm starting to think that it could be outweighed by the pros, but we shall see. Today was just the first day. We'll keep you posted. Okay, now I'm actually gonna shut up.